We had another amazing opportunity. We checked out the African American Heritage Trail in Springfield. It's opening up this spring. When the weather warms up, you should all head out. But in the meantime, here's a little preview. We are in downtown Springfield. It's a city with a rich and varied history. Today, I've got my map because we're going to go on the African American Heritage Trail. Come along with me. We met up with some folks who took us on the African American Heritage Trail. We got this map and we went on a guided tour of a city with surprising roots and ties to the abolitionist movement and the Underground Railroad. Our tour started at what's now the Hippodrome, but was once a place that really shaped history in New England. So one of your first stops on the African American Heritage Trail is going to be at the historic Massasoit building, and it's a little bit different now, but back in the day, tell us a little bit about the building.
Seth, this was one of the most prestigious hotels of its time in this area. It was cutting edge, owned and run by the Chapin brothers. It had prestigious people to stay here within walking distance of the train stop, and also a hiding place for fugitive slaves.
We're across the street from the Hippodrome. It's a former Massasoit hotel, but now on the other side of the street, it's where even more history happens.
That's right. And this was a shop of Perkins and Brown, run by John Brown. When we talk about John Brown historically, I like you to see the movement of his shop. His home and his shop all in a central location. John Brown had a shop at the back of the Massasoit Hotel. That was the first location. This is the second location across the street on the corner of Main and Lyman of his wool shop, Perkins and Brown. Now, as we know, he was an abolitionist, and he did secret or hide fugitive slaves within his shop.
And you're saying he moved around a lot. Maybe he moved to this location so that he could see the train better.
That's what I'm guessing also,
Yeah.
Seth, but I can't be sure, but it makes sense.
Hey, why don't we head on to the next place on our map?
Okay.
Next stop on Main Street, Springfield, and this building is a very old building, in your opinion.
Yes, it is. I've seen this building standing as early as 1888, and I don't know exactly when it was built, but this was the workshop of Rufus Elmer. Again, he was a bootmaker, entrepreneur, and a member of the Anti-Slavery Society. Friends with John Brown, who was right across the street.
So we don't necessarily know where, but there's definitely some history in this block.
Yes, Seth, you're right, absolutely. My Reverend Osgood, one of the most well-known ministers of our first church, his home was in that block. Between Hampton Street and 4th Street sat his first home right here on Main Street. Again, I'm not saying that he hid slaves in that home, but being one of our most prestigious ministers, also being a conductor along the Underground Railroad, it's good to point out where his home was, and it was right here on Main Street. Everything seemed to have sat on Main Street right before our very eyes. Things were moving around in secret, right in front of their faces. And it's a good thing to point it out how, again, it sits on Main Street as other famous buildings.
Yeah, I was going to say, right in front of our very eyes. So take the time this spring or summer to explore the African American Heritage Trail. You'll see a side of Springfield that you never knew existed.